Hello everybody! Thank you for joining me today, and I am back. I'm actually getting the ball really rolling this time on stuff. I'm working on a series of videos to share with you guys how we're going to get this fun painting that is right next to me. I'm going to take you through the whole process. So for today's video, we're going to work on the composition of the piece, and I'm going to show you how I kind of decided where everything was going to be. I think you'll enjoy it. It's a very fun and flowy process. Before we get to that, just a couple of announcements. I've been gone so long and it feels really good to be back and doing this. It feels good to actually feel, okay, I'm not gonna say good because things have been really tough lately. At the end of last year, I felt like I was on a roll. Things were going really good. I was getting my videos done. I was getting my art done. The beginning of the year, I thought I was going to go back to school, and that just ended up not being the right path for me. I'm glad I explored it again, and it's always good to explore your options. If you're uncertain, sometimes that's the best time to take a leap, because then you'll know, and I know now that's not going to be for me. I'm much happier doing online courses and kind of step by step and just really figuring it out. That's where I'm at in my art journey. And then, of course, all of us have been dealing with the craziness of 2020. What in the world is this year? It's absolute insanity. And then in the middle of that, I do not recommend it. I had to move from one state to another during a pandemic. And on top of that, the next thing I'm going to announce is that I was sicker than a dog, which I mentioned on my Instagram. And I'm going to explain here just because it's eventually going to become obvious, and that is that I am pregnant. And I'm going to have a kid hopefully this time March next year. The reason I mention that is that if you are watching, I appreciate you so very much, and I'm so excited to share things with you guys because this really is about the journey. Don't worry, this isn't becoming a pregnancy channel. It's not going to be a main thing that I talk about. I just want to talk openly about it here because it is going to be part of my journey. When you choose to do something like start an art practice or any sort of business really that you go out and do on your own, it becomes a type of lifestyle. So it is really a journey. It's a dedication. And this is now a new chapter for me as I'm trying to get this whole process going. It's going to create new challenges, but I also think it's going to create some really fun opportunities to explore. I also wanted to talk about it just to be honest with you guys because I talk about mental health sometimes on my channel. Some of you know I struggle with anxiety and depression. Those are two really big things that I work out in my art. It's very healthy for me. And I like to keep it honest. So I've been so sick and I feel like I was not prepared at all for how rough pregnancy has already been on my body, both physically and mentally. It has been hard. And we don't really talk about that a lot in society, just how hard pregnancy can be right from the beginning. I feel like everybody's ready for, oh goodness, women are so strong and labor is obviously really intense and painful and scary, and we put this really happy mask over the rest of it. We kind of touch on morning sickness, you know, from people around you, like, oh yeah, I hear morning sickness isn't great and all the throwing up I'm sure isn't fun. But I feel like no one's really ready for morning sickness to last all day, 24/7 during the first trimester for sure, when I was so incredibly sick, couldn't keep fluid down, obviously no solids. It was really terrible. And even now, it's gotten a little bit better, luckily, but it's still pretty rough. And mentally, it's kind of been rough too, just because all the hormone changes, and you have to be really careful with any sort of medications that you want to take during your pregnancy, you know, working with your OBGYN. That may kind of mess up some stuff for you. I have to be really careful with this migraine medication that I used to take, but right now I'm trying really hard to avoid it. There aren't any adverse side effects, but then like it gets in your head and you always worry about it. So I just want to be honest with you guys and I want to be a voice for women that are struggling with it. And I don't want to put this really pretty picture over it, because for some women pregnancy was just fine. I know some friends that were like, no, I actually, like, pregnancy was really good for me. And I'm just, happy for them that that was their experience, but also it's kind of terrible to feel that way and to look online and everything wants to put a happy face on it and, oh, just hang in there, it's gonna be good, it's good, it's all fine, it's all for your little baby. And it's like, don't get me wrong, I'm excited and I'm gonna love this kid when it comes out, but let's be real about the process. So far, it has sucked. I hate it. I have hated every moment of being pregnant so far. It's terrible. This is a rare good day, which is why I'm doing the video, and I'm starting to have a couple more of those, which is helping for sure. But then I'm not going to pretend that it's not going to get worse again, because that's kind of the journey of pregnancy, how they say that that goes. And it has been a struggle. So just wanted to share that with you. For any of my other women out there that are suffering from the same thing, and I feel you, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's hard. You're amazing. Keep going. And you're going to hear a little bit more about this if you continue with me on this art journey. Oh, that's what I wanted to share with you guys. Again, if you're here with me on this journey, I'm so incredibly excited, because it is a journey. You're catching this about a year in now, I guess, that I've been doing this. This is still very much the start, because when you go to start an art practice, it's going to be a couple years invested. Keep that in mind. That's why I wanted to share this with you guys, so that I feel like a lot of times on YouTube, we see the people that have already made it. They're already kind of there, and we're like, how do I get there? So this is part of the start. I hope that I can help offer some insight as we go along. And all of that being said, let's create. Here we go. I've got a canvas on my easel right now. It's already been painted a light blue. We are using acrylic today. And I'm just using a rag and dipping the rag into the paint and a little bit of water, keeping it kind of damp, just like you would with a paintbrush, not too wet. I don't want it slopping all over the canvas. And this is where I'm still trying to decide what I want in the painting. So when I approach a new painting, I usually have an idea of the vibe that I want. So for this one, I knew that I really wanted a fall themed painting. I wanted to capture the essence of it. I had my first day of slightly cool weather. It was just a tease, but it got me so excited for that fall weather. It is one of my absolute favorites. And I think I've moved on to its Mars Orange here. That yellow is not too important. It's mostly going to get covered up. So this is the part where it's kind of like the automatic drawings you may have seen me do, where I just take a pencil and I just let my mind really do the painting. I feel like the composition of a painting, when it really works out well, comes from that place that we can't really define. It's that special it. And you just have to let yourself ease into it and flow. I'm not really trying to make anything right now. I'm just putting shapes on the canvas. So much of this is going to get painted over and covered up, and I'm just giving myself an idea of where I want things to be and what I even want in my canvas right now. It's all just fun. There's no pressure at this point. There's no mistakes that you're gonna make. You don't need to worry about happy little accidents. This is just free-flowing and fun, putting shapes on a canvas, giving you an idea of where you want to go with it. Lots of swirly shapes, and what I'm doing here is using just enough pressure that I'm pushing the paint around on the canvas. Same thing with using just enough water that it's not soupy, but that it does move. And what I want, so that I can actually draw with the paint and my rag, is I'm keeping it just wet enough to keep that kind of crisp edge that when I push the paint I can create an edge, but I can also really soften it out in areas and smooth it out so that I don't have any hard lines. You can see near the bottom here, just super choppy motions. I went a little bit onto the sides. I'm going to be honest with you guys that it's always your preference whether you want to paint just on the front or bring it around to the sides. I was ambitious and thought that I might bring it around, but at the end I just painted the sides black. So personal preference, whatever you want to do. Again, during these beginning stages, you're just having fun with it. There's no pressure here. This should not be a stressful part of the painting. This should be one of the most fun parts of the painting. We don't have to be disciplined about any of this. As I'm going over certain areas again, that's just me darkening up those lines. Kind of, you see me pause and take a moment to appreciate the painting. I'm just reminding myself what I like. I'm looking for shapes that really jump out at me that I want to keep in there. I may see some shapes like at the bottom where you saw me kind of smush over some more shapes, and that's because I realized I didn't want anything there. I wanted that to stay really free flowy and fluffy. But then I take that orange and I just, as I get more defined, kind of like you would if you're drawing with a pencil and you start off really nice and light. You don't want any hard lines that'll be hard to erase later. You start off super light. That's what we did with the paint. So I started off light and fluffy, and now I'm going in with a more heavy, I'm still using just the same color. It's still just that Mars orange, but I'm using a lot more of it to define kind of the hard lines of where I know I want there to be an edge. I know I want something to actually be there. You can see I keep it nice and light where I'm not really sure what's going to be there yet. No real definition. See, nothing's locked in. I just kind of pulled those lines in out of nowhere because I knew I wanted some sort of stepping stone, staircase, something. I'm pulling some more defined shapes here, and it may be a little hard to see on the camera, but for a lot of these you can see where there's very faint lines of shapes that were already there, and I'm just really going in and defining them, maybe restructuring them a little bit to more of what I want. I am just about finishing up here, so I hope you guys enjoy this. Give this a try yourself. Create your own fantastic painting. Again, just free flow. Have fun with it. Don't worry too much. And just enjoy the process. This should all kind of come from the gut. Just somewhere that you let your mind kind of go, and no stress about this one. All right, guys? Less stress in 2020. That should be a good goal. That's what I use my art for. I hope you guys have enjoyed this, and if you join me next time, we are going to start defining what these shapes actually are going to be in the finished painting. I can't wait to see you there. See you next time. Bye.